Hey, Don Copeland here once again with the Compress iUV-600s compact flatbed UV printer. What we're doing today is a practical application I think a lot of our customers would use in the trophy and awards industry, ad specialties, whatnot. We're actually printing out name badges. These are some name badges, and we probably didn't go to the best source in the world for them. We got them off of Amazon. These are 1.5 tall by 3-inch wide. They're plastic. You can take a peek at them right here. They're plastic with a black back, and they come with actually pretty cool. This is a magnetic type of attachments, and it's got an adhesive backing. So what we'll do is once we've printed them, you're actually going to remove the adhesive back, pop it right on there. You just use a magnet, so you don't have to punch holes or anything in the shirt. Kind of a cool application. These were, I think, $32 for 25 of them, and it included the bags as well. So it's like $1.28 for each one of these, and we've run through and we've actually printed these. We're going to do a full color badge for our company here, for our employees. It's a full color badge, going to have a name, position, and everything. Almost, not even really almost, 60% of a cent. 0.6 cents each for ink. So just conservatively say you get $1.30 into each of these badges. We did a real quick online search. Full color badges like this, anywhere from about $4.50 to maybe $7, $8 a piece. And you know, if you go to shorter run, it's actually going to be less. I think the one that we're doing here is like 65 or 66 name badges. So those would probably be in the $5 range. Doesn't sound like a lot. When you start figuring at $5, I'm making $3.70 a piece, and there are 48 of them on here. Even if you say it's $3 a piece, that's about $150 just to print this bed. All right. So it is a great way that you can make money. And if you use the white backs, you don't have to worry about printing any white ink. And about the only other way people would maybe do this with this kind of color would be like with sublimation. And then you're looking at aligning each one of these when you sublimate to do them. So this is truly the way to do it. As we typically do here, we don't have a jig built up. So we actually just printed on the bed, rectangles, all right, that represent our locations from our template. We actually created a template in the RIP software, brought in one rectangle, printed it, and it filled in all of these. So that's how we ended up with our outline for it. And to save ourselves some time, I've gone ahead and loaded up 47 of the 48. We're going to position this 48th one, and then we're going to hop over to the software. I'm going to show you how we did it. Alrighty, so what we've done here is we've created our, I don't like to use the word template because we use the word template in other places in the software, but this is actually our representation of the badges. We have isolated a layer here, which is the ColDesi logo, our motto here of Achieving Dreams Together, and this background onto a layer here that I have locked, all right? If you also see up here at the top, I also have, that's our rectangle layer, and that layer is actually turned off from sight and turned off from printing. That's the layer that we actually sent over to print our outlines onto the bed. All right, so what I've done is I have these 3 lines right here, which you see appear on the second layer, and I want to take those 3 layers, right, there's 3 objects there, and what I'm going to do with these is we're going to turn this into a variable data. We're going to do variable data printing. I've got this John Q. Smith as one line, manager of all stuff, and then West Shore. And I'm going to show you right here, when we go into the layout under badges, we're going to bring it in. First line is John Q. Smith. It's going to be my variable data. Manager of all stuff and West Shore campus. Telling it we have 67 of these items. I think it's the number we had. And then I have a data file here, database file here. It's called ColDesi list.txt. What this is a tab delimited type of database. As you see right here, you have lots of different types: comma, space, tab, semicolon, dollar, and custom. A type of delimiters for your database. Tab and semicolon are probably the 2 most common. Some people use comma as well. But anyway, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to bring this in. And now you see here, John Q. Smith, manager of all stuff, West Shore campus. That was on our generic initial badge. And then over here, you see this is the database file we brought in. This is all the names. This is all the positions, and this is the campus that they're located at. I want to click OK, and what this is actually going to do is it's going to populate and generate a new badge for each one of these. Now, you'll notice there's a line here also for serialization. This didn't call for any serialization in this situation. However, if I was wanting to put in room numbers or anything like that that would be in a certain sequence, I could set this up with a start number and a jump. So let's say I wanted to start with the first one as 1 and then go in steps of 10. It would go 1, 11, 21, all the way down as far as I tell it to do. We're not going to do that in this one, but it is another aspect you can add to that. You could also put in barcodes. Instead of using a regular text, we'll be doing barcode as our font, our format, as opposed to, I think in this we use like some Arial in this. You could have had one of the barcodes as well. So when I click OK here, what it's going to do is right now it's generating my 67 pages. See along the bottom here, because they start to scroll off into oblivion, you'll start to see the different names. And as I click on these, you'll see how it's brought in the name and the position. One thing that's kind of cool, and I want to zoom in here to show you, we actually did an effect. We did a drop shadow on the name of the campus. So when I jump to this next one, you'll notice it's a different campus, but it has the exact same format of the drop shadow. So if you do any effects like this to your text, whether it's arcing your text, drop shadows, things like that, those things will then carry forward. If you did them as an effect, they're going to carry forward into this, and they'll now have the drop shadow or the arc or whatever like you did on the original. Kind of a cool and powerful tool that you're able to take advantage of that. Another thing that we did here is, let me get to the name. One of the names we have right here, as you'll notice, this text looks a little bit different. Well, if I were to use the same compression of this text here, this is non-compressed in Mark Stevenson's name. But when I jump to Mark Marboquette, his name was too long for that space. It actually would have blown out outside of the badge. So we used a compression format when we set up our original that maximized the width that it would do. It doesn't shrink the text any height-wise. It just compresses the text in left to right. So that's what we've done here. Now, we're going to jump back here. We've got all these set up, as many as we have here. There were 48 positions in our template on our page. And we have 60-something, I think it's 67 badges. So what are we going to do about that, right? We're just going to go ahead and print these on over. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to, I'll tell it to print all of the badges. I could tell it just one at a time. I could tell it just print page 1, which in our case, page 1 would be just this single page, all right? Or if actually this page is 6, it would be page 6. But I'm telling it to print all of them. I could tell it that I wanted it to print 1 through 48 only. But I'll show you why you don't have to worry about that. As soon as it finishes here, there's a lot of data. It's actually printing 67 print jobs right now to the rip. All right, as you see here now, it's starting to, and as you'll see the names coming up, badges 43, 44, 45, those are the pages that you saw generated at the bottom of my designer page, all right? And it started here, and look what's happened. Once I hit 48, voila. It actually generated a second print page, which is really powerful. So if I had 1,000 of these things to do, I could literally print them all at one time to the rip, and the rip would set them up on pages based on my bed. So, we've done this with a golf tournament thing that we do for the same thing, which is an 18-hole golf tournament for signs. It's a full bed. And it literally spools up 18 print jobs. I click the first one, tell it to print. Reload the printer, click the second one, tell it to print. The same thing here would be, except I'm putting 48 on a page instead of 1 on a page. All right, so we have those all selected. I'm going to simply go in here and select this page. And for the purposes of marketing and marketing only, we're going to go ahead and rotate this 180 degrees. That way when it comes out of the printer, it's facing the right way. I always like to make Mark happy, because if not, Mark makes me look really foolish on the videos. So we're going to do that, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to tell it to print. Okay, there we go. It's spooled down all 48 of the badges that we set up with the variable data, and it's printing it out right now onto the badge. We actually did a little bit of an overbleed on this so that we cover the entire badge, so you'll see there'll actually be a little bit of extra ink on the bed of the printer itself, but that's fine. It cleans up real nice on that silicone mat, and we're going to just kind of fly through these. Now remember, we were talking about this, like $3.70 a piece average profit on something like this for an order of this size, and there's just under 50 of them under here. 50 of them would be $150, $185, let's say $175 profit on this bed alone. That's pretty impressive. When you see how long it takes to print, it's if you can get work like this, it's crazy. And I'm pretty certain that if you were, you're a regular ASI or Trophy and Awards type of company, you actually can probably get these badges even cheaper. You actually could probably buy a full sheet of this material if you have a laser and cut your own, right? So just being conservative, $175 a page using the power of the variable data in the RIP software and the design software, and then obviously the ability to print straight onto the substrate instead of having to do a transfer process, which, you know, about the only other way I would see that people would probably do this full color would be to do sublimation, but that's a transfer process. So you would have to print out the transfers, you have to align them properly on each one of these badges and press them. Not easy to do. With this, you load it, lay them down, you load them, and actually if you had a jig and you were rocking and rolling through this, what you would do is once these started to emerge from the front, you'd be popping them out and popping fresh ones in, so as soon as it's done, you can do a quick turnaround with a refilled jig. So while this is still printing, we were talking about some ideas of what else you could do with this. Number one, you don't have to just use white plastic. However, if you do use white plastic and you want to simulate a brass or a brushed aluminum or granite, right? Wood, anything you wanted to, you just bring that as your background, just like in this case, we're printing a background that is a mountain scene, right? But you could have brought in a background that looked like a piece of oak or tiger wood or something like that, or you could have brought in something that looked like brushed aluminum or brass or something like that and printed it. It would look like a brass type of name badge, so you could use a nicer look with a lighter weight and less expense and is involved with the brass. So there's just so many different things you can do by being able to print these direct. It's amazing. I know my wife's work, they use these things all the time. And theirs come in, there's never anywhere this colorful. They're usually 3 or 4 color, or they're a sublimatable one. And you can tell the ones that are sublimated, they're usually not centered as well as they should be, right? And with these, we have the ability to do a full overbleed, not worry about it, and it's perfect. It still had all of the variable data that you're exporting over to the RIP to be able to print from. So we're just about done here. It looks like we're about a third of the way through the last row, which means we've printed 42 already. I'm looking at my timer here, and it's looking real close to where it's going to be in the area, just under 15 minutes to print the whole bed. I would feel comfortable saying you could do 48 on a bed. If you had a jig, had it already loaded up, or if I was going through right now and pulling these off and loading it back on, that you could turn this around 4 times an hour. And remember, we talked about if we sold these for $5 a piece, we're making about $3.70 a piece, or roughly $175 a bed, 4 times an hour. That's $700 an hour profit on the machine. So by being smart, using the variable data, doing variable data printing, working within the constraints, not having to think too much by dragging a text box so that we have our compressed text. We don't have to worry about anything falling off of the page. And just taking advantage of all the power that's not only in the RIP, but also in the design software. We're able to take the 600S and be able to generate great looking output like this, effectively and efficiently. I want to pull one of these off here. This is my favorite one. Here we go. This is always a good part. This is when you learn just how good the bed is. So this is the badge we did with my name on it, with my title on it, as you can see. It's just got a solid black back there. And what I'm going to do is I actually have this. It's got a sticky back, right, with a magnet. And you would just peel that off, pop that on, and you just pop it inside of your pocket or inside of your shirt, and you're ready to go. So just go over real quick what we've done today. We've taken the compressed iUV-600s compact UV printer. We have taken a database file, which was sent to us in a Excel format. We opened it up in Excel. We exported that database out that had name, title, and the campus the person was on. We exported that out as a tab delimited database, which is a TXT file. You could open it up in Notepad or WordPad or whatever you wanted and look at it if you wanted to check it out. Then we came over and we had set up in our software a generic templated outline. It had a generic name here, generic position, and generic campus. And then what we did is we took that data, brought variable data in, brought that TXT file into that, and replaced the name, replaced the position, and replaced the campus on each one, even down to the detail of the fact that we put a drop shadow as an effect on the campus name. And we have about 4 or 5 different campus names here, and every one of those still came forward with the drop shadow. It was beautiful. It's a great opportunity to show the power of that as well. So great way to make good money, generating great, like your clients would just be tickled pink to have these. And very easy to do. It's not like there's a lot of setup. Once you've set this up, they get a new employee. Somebody loses their badge, they call you up, throw one on the bed, print the rectangle down to position it, lay it on, print it, and in 5 minutes you get another badge for them. So variable data, compact, the compressed compact iUV-600s, small format, flatbed UV printer, generating badges with variable data and printing money, $750 an hour profit just on a job like this. If you get $5 a badge, you can't beat that. Hey, thanks for watching again, and we'll be back next time with some more exciting things to do with your compressed iUV printers.